I tell people, get out of your own head. Just do that. Get out of your own head and stop believing everything that you see on TV. TV is entertainment. They're paid to, create certain scenarios and get in your head. Get it out of your head. Get out there.
Today's guest, Angela Ledyard, first became interested in photography after watching her grandparents capturing photos. She grew up using point-and-shoot cameras, Polaroid instant cameras, and, in high school, apprenticed in a local portrait photographer's studio. Later, at Kent State University, Angela was a freelance photographer for the campus's magazine. Over the years, Angela has captured images ranging from portraits to weddings, but found nature to be her love and passion. She says, "I love being outdoors. How else can you truly appreciate nature? Being outdoors brings me peace, enjoyment, and allows me to be present." Angela is a nature photographer focusing on landscape, birds, wildlife, and insects. She's a hiker, yogi, traveler, cyclist, kayaker, and currently resides in Seattle, Washington. Check out her work at Angela, Angela, Ledyard, LEDYARD.com. Now on to the episode with wild woman Angela Ledyard. Let's go.
Let's get it done.
So I watched your YouTube video of you and Keisha talking about how you started Black female landscape photographers. And I was like, y'all are my people. Like all the things that you were talking about, like, yeah, it's great to like, I remember a couple of things like it's great to be online, but we want to meet people in person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think that any way that we do it, whatever brings you together is awesome. And I love that you have you have yearly meetups now. Is that what you're doing? Will you just tell me a little bit more about it? And I'm going to post the link to that YouTube so people can hear how it got started. I'll talk more about you, but I kind of want to talk about this first because I really think like building communities is awesome. However we do it and getting together and really like collaborating in a community is, I think, really important, which is one reason I do this podcast, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we rolling it out, we were extremely excited. And since, it was the need to let's have meetups. We want to meet people. We want to be with other women like us and out there. And
amen.
We had women that, kind of gave us feedback. Everyone is all excited. And we had even, put out there we will come to your area. If there's this, place near you and you want to explore and you didn't want to go alone. So initially the first meetup was supposed to be over in the Appalachian Mountain area. No, Great Smoky Mountain.
Great Smokies? Is that what you said? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Great Smoky Mountain National Park area. And because the majority of the ladies who were in the group lived over on that side of the U.S., I was in San Diego. So I'm like, it makes sense. I'll go over there. So with all of the talk and everything, and when it came to initiating or rolling out and saying, deposits, we had found a nice Airbnb. Then it just kind of fizzled down. So since we didn't have the participation that we anticipated, and Keisha is from San Diego, she said, I'll come out to San Diego. And I said, okay. And one lady from Philly came, another lady that was in San Diego was there. So our official one ended up being in San Diego. And it was 3 days that I just mapped out stuff that we would do from sunrise to sunset. And,
it's so easy there. It's so easy to do that there.
Easy, so many places.
I know.
I have to stay away from Google Maps because it causes problems with my planning. you look at, okay, we're going to drive here to here, and you zoom in, and Google's like, oh, there's this spot. And you're like, what is that? Does that say waterfall?
Right.
So we had 3 days. It was so fun. And then our the second year we were doing Colorado.
Which I have never done, by the way. I'm going to fix that. But by the way.
Yeah, you need to.
Definitely going to fix that.
And that was original. Yeah. Which part was that? Well, one of the ladies lived, I think, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours from Denver. And we were going to go over to her area, but more conversation that Keisha and I were having, I'm like, not with the Rocky Mountain National Park being right there. We're going to have to change this. So we got there even like days earlier, Keisha and I, and we were hitting like Colorado Springs. We did the Rocky Mountain Wildlife Refuge. We were just all over and of course we did the national park. That's when the one lady joined us. So that was only 3 of us. So it seemed like, I don't know if the barrier or the issue may have been, ladies having commitment,
yeah, it's the travel, time off from work, other commitments, families.
Right, exactly. So we weren't getting the participation that, we were like so excited for. And we were like, it's a lot of work. People thought that I'm a full-time photographer. I'm like, oh no, I'm a full-time plus office corporate worker. So
as many people are, to be honest,
seriously.
Many photographers are. We have day jobs. We take time off. Mine's a little unconventional, but whatever.
So is mine. I was like, oh, I can get off work on Friday, jump on this flight, get everything done on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sleep on Sunday night or after work on Monday.
Right, because YOLO.
Right, you can get a lot done. You can sleep later.
So are you guys mostly online now? Is that like how you connect, is online? And then
we have a private Facebook page that is still there. There's still some activity on that. And we keep it private so when ladies are deciding where they want, where they want to meet up, it's amongst them. It's not anyone outside publicly like, oh, we know that these 3 ladies with their Sonys, Canons, and Nikons or whatsoever are going to be at this location.
Right.
No.
No. Y'all, this is the stuff that we can't do. Like, we're just, even as women, or like, I don't think anyone should be posting this stuff, but even as women, this is stuff that we do not want out there, like where we're going to be. And I take all that offline. Sometimes I will post where I am if I'm with the group. Many times I just wait until a couple days later or I'm home and then I do I'll share, if I'm going to share, I'll share like a little highlights like, hey, this is what I did. What?
Exactly. It's sad, but we have to do that. There's times I go through images and I'm like, oh, that's right. I was there at Antelope Canyon. Oh, that was a year ago. Let me post it.
We all have those images that we have not shared yet.
Right. So. And, it falls into like waiting and, not being so upfront with location. I can post where I'm in an airport, and then next day I'm in the other opposite side of the U.S. So people just don't know. They don't need to know until you get back.
My family calls me now, like my mom, or I'll call her and she'll go, where are you now?
Yes.
So the other day I was like, magically I'm home. Surprise. So yeah, I did a lot of travel this spring and they were like, where in the world is Brie? Let's play that game. So
yes. Yeah. I've gotten the nickname Dora now. Where are you at, Dora?
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome. And by the way, our backpacks are way bigger than Dora's.
Yeah.
A lot more in there than Dora does.
Yeah, that extra 25, 30 pounds, I'm like, it's a workout. It's a good leg workout. That's what it is.
It's a full body workout. I love it. That's how I kind of trained at the beginning. When I first started photography and I got my shiny new backpack and I put all my gear in there and I just got out into like my local areas. I would just train with it because I knew I wanted to be able to walk around and photograph without feeling like my physicality was in the way, And that is a real thing for nature photographers, is figuring out your physical limitations and capabilities to get out into the outdoors. And I don't have any like long-term limitations. And so I was like, I got to get out. I just got to get out and do this. I feel like I just keep pushing. I feel like you're one of those people as well.
I love being outdoors. I was outdoors last night.
And you're based in Seattle now?
I am. I moved here in November, December. Yeah. But I had came here and visited, was at a conference last May. And during that conference, it was like, okay, it was like a few days. And then I'm like, oh, I told my girlfriend from my hometown, because she was going to be in Phoenix. So we came up, she came up, she was here, and we did a road trip. We hit all the national parks. We hit Cape Flattery, because I can plan out a really beautiful agenda or itinerary. Just give me how many hours and days, we hit it. And I knew then, I'm like, oh, Seattle, you're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You fit my lifestyle. So yeah, I started flirting with Seattle, and then we started dating. So far so good.
That's amazing. You're in kind of the honeymoon phase. I hope it works out.
Oh, it's gonna work out. It is. If I can just stop giving so much time to Mount Rainier. Yeah.
That's all good. Well, you told me in your forum, I'm reading this and I'm like, Peru. You talk about a solo road trip in Texas. I'm a big fan of a solo road trip. And so I feel like you are like well-traveled. Not that we have to do that for our photography, but it is super fun. One of the questions I ask, like, if your photography is emotion driven, what experiences have you had with powerful emotions? And you talk about this solo road trip where you went from sadness to happiness, like within seconds. And I love this. I love it when this happens, when you have this huge range of emotions. It's a little tiring. I'll be honest, when you have these giant swings, but happiness to sadness is not necessarily fun, but sadness to happiness is the other way. So tell me a little bit about that. And why were you on a solo road trip?
I do a lot of solo road trips. Yeah, I just, you can't always have someone. Keisha lives over in the Virginia area. I really don't have, just with my lifestyle, I want to go out. And there's a lot of times people aren't available. So years ago, I go. But this particular sadness to happiness, it's kind of hilarious. I'm on the road in Texas. I was heading from, I want to say I was coming from Guadalupe National Park heading to Big Bend.
Mm-hmm. I know it.
And there's just nothing, as you know. It's just nothing.
Totally.
And when I say nothing, yeah, just flat, nothing.
No bathroom stops.
Nothing.
Nothing. Literally nothing. Yeah.
And I saw something in the road, and I'm vibing out to my music, and something's crossing the road. I didn't see it fast enough. And I'm driving a Jeep Wrangler, and I happen to manage to go over it, not roll over it. And in the rearview mirror, I saw that it flipped over and its legs were like moving. And I'm like, what was that? I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't kill it. And
I have a guess.
Yeah, you might
let you tell it.
So, now I'm like driving miles and I'm like, was that No, could it have been? Anyway, I get to Big Ben. I camp out there. Leaving Big Ben, I see this particular same type of animal crossing the road, and I'm like, it was a tarantula. And I pull over and I'm like, grab my camera. I'm all excited because I was like, I thought I killed a tarantula. And here I am stopping like every single time I saw a tarantula, I pulled over to take pictures.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I thought you were going to say an armadillo.
Oh no, that would have been no, yeah. No, it was tarantulas. Only a few people know that story. Now more people are going to know, and they're like,
So funny. We've had tarantulas in our yard too, and there was a really big one in my driveway once. It was kind of crazy, but tarantulas, they're interesting.
Yeah.
I totally understand why you stopped to photograph it and I'm glad you didn't run it over because they're really not.
Right.
They're not bad.
Yeah.
They just look big and hairy and scary because,
Right. People, it's just the fear people have of them.
Right. Yeah. That arachnophobia. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because they are really interesting creatures.
Yeah. So I was so happy. And here I am in the middle of nowhere out there screaming and jumping up and down. Like, oh, it's a tarantula. There's another one. Yeah.
And I love that we do this. Okay. So I was with Wayne Suggs. He's based in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And we went out to White Sands National Park.
Yeah.
I'm up on the top of this. Yes, it's my happy place. But so I'm up on the top of this high dune. And he's kind of down below, and I'm with my friend Elise Bender, who's also been on the podcast. But so we're all three and kind of near each other, but like we could within hearing distance, right? But slightly different positions. And I hear Wayne just whooping, like, yeah, woo, and he's been photographing for years and years. And I know he's been to White Sands like more times than he can count, and he still whoops and hollers. And that's how I kind of want to feel about photography so often is like, yeah, I've been here a million times before. I never want it to get old. I like want to whoop and holler like when you see a tarantula, you know what I mean? And then you see the 20th tarantula too.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's the photography, but it's also, for me at least, it's also the connection of nature, and it's just seeing, even if you're seeing a tarantula for the 50th time, it's just the nature and being able to see these, capturing it. Sometimes I don't have, all of my equipment with me, and I have to settle for using my cellular device, but nevertheless, it's still the connection.
Yeah, I do the same. I will purposely leave my camera at home because I don't want to be bothered, but I'll still photograph things with my phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not? Because that's practicing seeing anyway. Like we're photographers. We can't help it. We've trained ourselves how to see a little bit differently. And if you have your phone and you use it, I mean, some people only use their phones. So for photography. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm sad because I prefer to use my camera. But,
I do too.
And I was on a hike up at Mount Rainier on Saturday, and I've been wanting to see a pika. I had my camera with me, but I didn't have my wildlife lens. But nevertheless, the pika was close enough. Unfortunately, because of other people on the trail wanting to be curious to see what I saw. And this one group was approaching me, and I'm like, flagging. I'm like, can you just wait one moment? I just want to get my camera and take a picture because the pika was literally like 3 feet away from me. But no, they wanted to keep walking so that they can come and see what I was seeing. But I did get pictures with my phone, so.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Unless you're kind of remote, it feels like there's always going to be people around. So that's just
I don't know what it is. Everyone, the few friends that will travel with me on certain occasions, they're like, why is it that when we get to a spot, there's no one else there but us? But the moment you zoom in on an image, it's like 50 people come out the bushes and they're like all around. I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah, they're like, you have a big camera. What do you Something
my
amazing
God.
is happening.
As a
Something
woman,
amazing.
I did my TikTok. I did like a segment on, do people go up to men and like, oh, that's a mighty big lens you have there, or they just do that to women? And I find that when I'm out and if there's a couple, the lady will 9 times out of 10 the woman will like not even acknowledge me, and the man is like smiling. He's like, hello, hi. Like he'll look at the camera equipment. He's like, now that's the woman that knows the outdoors or something. But the ladies just like roll their eyes. I'm like, okay.
That's so interesting to me because I'd be like, what are you shooting with? What are you taking a photograph of? Like, but also there's something in common there. So it's just interesting to, right? It's just interesting to notice like what, what people are doing. Sometimes I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't want to talk to them because they look like they're in their zone. I'm just going to keep on walking by and let them do their thing. I find it funny when people come up to me, I'm like photographing, I'll be photographing something really strange and pointing my like lens down. There'll be something amazing happening in the opposite direction. And people are like, oh, I hope you get that that amazing sunset. I'm like, oh yeah, there's these really interesting rocks or something over here. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're like, what? You're crazy. So, but
Yeah,
hey,
I
we do
love
what we
those
do.
people. Right. They want to tell you what you think you should photograph. Yeah.
It's kind of funny, but everyone has their own ideas.
Right.
Well, I love this. You said you planned a waterfall trip I love that you love that nature and the outdoors. And I feel like even if you didn't have a camera, you'd still be out in it. But 14 waterfall hikes. Are there multiple waterfalls on one hike, or do you have to do 14 hikes for 14 waterfalls?
14 different locations.
Oh my gosh. Okay, tell us about this because this sounds, and this spoiler alert, this is the one where everything goes wrong. Sorta.
I was so upset. Had been planning this road trip with a few other, I guess we can call them influencers / photographers. They use their mobile devices and drones. So we want to say I was the only photographer who's carrying gear. And so we had kind of been planning this because they live, one lives in Pennsylvania, one lives in Alabama, one lives in Florida. So going through all this, mapping everything out. Of course, I did the itinerary so that I knew where to go, where it made sense. And 2 weeks before this road trip, because we were all going to meet down, a couple were flying into Seattle. And then, anyway, 2 weeks before the trip, somehow or another, I injured my right knee. It was so painful. And I'm like, you have to be kidding me. And I'm like, oh, I'm not canceling this. I'm like, I will figure it out. So 14 different locations and hiking with camera equipment, with a bad knee that it really even hurt to bend. So I'm like, okay, this is, we're going to do this. So we were making it happen. I don't know how I feel about Forest Service roads right now, but they're quite interesting. When you're on those forest roads and you're going up in higher elevations and you have, these potholes about the size of bathtubs filled with water, or you have down trees, or the higher the elevation you discover that it's like, oh, there's snow and down trees. And you have to figure out another way to get where you want to go, where you also have limited cell phone service. So that was fun. There was a tree that was one waterfall. There was this ginormous tree. I don't know if it was a sequoia. I think it was a sequoia. Or no, a redwood. And you had to cross this tree to get to the other side over this riverbed to get to the waterfall. Me with one good leg, camera equipment, I'm like, I can't do this. I was like, you guys go ahead. And they're like, you came this way, you're going to have to do it. So they're helping me get up on this tree. I kind of slid on this tree, and I'm like, oh, I have splinters in my inner thigh.
No.
So, so I'm like,
Oh
wait a minute. So what happened, these little wood splinters got into the stretch material in my inner thighs and my butt. And so I'm like, we're just gonna keep it going. So I managed, they helped me up. I'm walking one good leg. Now I'm like, I have to walk with as if I'm bow-legged because the little wooden splinters are like sticking my inner thighs. So yeah, that was.
I'm sorry, it's really terrible, but
this is really good. Another waterfall hike. We're going.
Wait. Did you get to the waterfall?
I got to the waterfall.
There you go.
Yeah. There was not only one waterfall we did not make it to, and it was because the directions it was getting late. The directions were off on the Forest Service Road, and it was like the last day before I was going to be leaving the group to head out to the coast and do my last few days of soloing. But yeah, the splinters, thankfully, nothing went into my skin because I'm like, although I had tweezers, I was like, I'm like, oh. And so it was all just stuck in the fabric. I made that out. I made it out. And the other one, there were two other situations. Going down to this one waterfall, beautiful in this canyon, and the grade was so steep, and it was dirt, like a soft, slidey type of dirt, and really coarse rocks. And the way that the canyon was, it was like you had to press your arms, and your body's at an angle because you're pressing your arms up against the rocks to help to give you some type of way to maneuver going down this steep grade with dirt and rocks. And in my mind, I'm like, you're gonna have to come back up. How are you gonna do that? And I got down there and I had to crawl on the bad knee coming up, like rock climbing. And the last one was I got a flat tire. Not on the Forest Service roads, but over by Multnomah Falls. So,
it's all the insult to injury. The flat tire is.
Yeah. It was like, this is hilarious.
We're not gonna get you in nature, but we're gonna get you here.
And I was so happy because I'm like, thank gosh, it was not on a Forest Service road. Yes.
Yeah. Do you carry a little GPS device? Like, I have a Garmin InReach Mini. Do you carry that at all?
I didn't bring it on the road trip, no.
But you have one, right?
Yeah, and you can also download your Google Maps for
the offline.
Yeah.
I carry the InReach not for navigating because I use that Gaia app for that. Which I love because I can breadcrumb and I can pop photos in there of places that I might want to see again, just like reference photos. Y'all, if you, just for the listeners, if you haven't checked out Gaia, GAIA GPS, it's a really amazing app. And you can breadcrumb your way if you go off trail, because the last thing you want to do is get lost or worry about where you are on the, when you actually want to be enjoying your photography. And it's kind of hard to do if you're worried about getting lost. And so just allowing yourself to have a little bit of a wander with a really good map, and it will show you a bunch of different layers. So I subscribe to the Pro because it's not that much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I'm so glad you didn't get a flat tire on those roads.
Yeah, because it was just, because, those roads can be very narrow. So trying to change, the tire for the Jeep, and it was a group of us. But still, nevertheless, it's just like, okay. Thankfully, it wasn't on that. That Jeep has taken me so many places where I'm like, oh, I just love you.
Right? Exactly. Hey, photographers, are you ready to take your work off the screen and into print? Join myself and UK photographer Murray Livingston in November for a special online workshop where you'll learn how to turn your photography into a thoughtfully curated printed zine. This workshop will guide you through the entire zine creation process, from selecting your best images to designing and printing a finished zine that tells your visual story. It's the perfect way to showcase your work in a unique, tangible format. Head over to Murray, Murray, livingston.com/zine-workshop for all the details. I really love this part of the story where you were like, I connected with people online, and then they all came to me from different parts of the United States, and we all hung out together. And that's a little bit of what I do too. I think that's so, so fun. My husband is kind of like, wait, what are you doing? Who are these people? I'm like, don't worry about it.
That's the thing about the internet. It allows for us to make these connections with people where we have a common interest. Because people from where I've grown up at, they're like, you're crazy. I would get, oh, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that, why? So it was a lot of negativity from people who just didn't get it. So the internet allows for you to, do crazy stuff with people where you're having conversations like, well, you're in a Jeep. Can't you go up that muddy incline? I'm like, yes, but you have a low profile car. You can't. And you have fun. Other people get it. We're here right now having this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, totally. Oh, I think a lot of people don't get it. That they're, I think it's just not in their space of understanding that women go do the kinds of things that we do. That I think there's, in general, in the world, and I'm not saying for everyone, I think, obviously men and women can do pretty much anything, but I think that there's this stereotype for women, and for good
Absolutely.
reason, because we are like nurturers. I spent years at home with my kids. I homeschooled. Like, if you knew me 20 years ago, I was like a homeschooling mom. You'd be like, she's not an adventurer, right? But we can decide to do all these things, and it is kind of not the norm. And I also think it's really great to be like, yeah, it's not the norm. This is what I do. And also sometimes I'm the mom that bakes cookies.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Why can't we be the wild hunters or huntresses, and still feed our cubs,
right?
Take care of the house, and so many. Yeah, I've never liked to fall into that. That just never worked for me. It's like, I want to get out. Years ago, it was like, oh, you're a tomboy. Okay, but, I can also be that woman that's wearing 3-inch heels and being in a dress. And
that's right.
What?
Amen, sister. I got 4-inch heels.
I can't do my 4-inch heels now. After COVID, I'm like,
give me some hiking pants and my Hokas. I'm good to go. Thank you.
Right. Oh my gosh. My heels are like, oh, she has turned us over for hiking boots and
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, but if I had an occasion to wear them, totally would. So,
Yeah. It's like that occasion would have to be an hour, because I think my feet would be like, you got an hour to be in these heels.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. TikTok for being in those shoes. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. I love that we can just do that part of our lives, and we can just make it whatever we want it to look like,
Exactly.
Okay, wait, I want to read this part that you said to just wrap up the waterfall hikes. You said, it was still a dope adventure, and I learned that I just go with it. Like, I'm experiencing what I need to in every moment. And I wanted to read that because I think that's a really beautiful attitude. about photography, about adventuring, about being out in the world, kind of going outside of your comfort zone is to just experiencing what you need in every moment and knowing that that you're going to make it work out.
Right. Nature changes. Everything changes. You have to be flexible. Nothing is perfect. And if you are having that mentality that every time you go out, it's just going to be banger skies and the birds are going to be singing and no. You have to have that ability to be flexible and just go with the flow. You may have overcast skies on the time when you're thinking, oh, well, the weatherman said that we were going to get this, that, and the other. And I embrace every moment. I don't care. It can be a thunderstorm. Which for a little bit when I was in Texas, I was trying to do some chasing while I was there. But yeah, you just have to embrace the moment. There are other people who don't have that ability, maybe physically, maybe financially, maybe other reasons. But we're blessed to be able to do so. So why complain? Just go with it.
Just go with it. Yeah. I always think I put myself in this situation. I can totally figure it out. And there's totally something to enjoy here. I feel like that's kind of my attitude now is why would I complain about being where I am? Even
Right.
if my knees hurt and I have blisters on my feet and I'm hot,
Exactly.
whatever it is. Right. Exactly. So speaking of all of that, dealing with adverse situations, tell us about the Inca Trail. And you went to Peru. I love this. I've not been to Peru.
Amazing.
I know my husband and I end up going to Costa Rica just because we love it. Not even for photography.
Costa Rica too.
It's awesome.
Yes. I'm heading back there again soon.
Ooh. Okay. Let's chat offline about that. Want to hear about it, but I don't know if everybody else wants to. So when did you go to Peru? And then tell us about your experience on the Inca Trail with the mucky wall. She's laughing because she knows stuff that we don't, y'all.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just so funny because I still haven't put a lot of that trip online or anything, not even on my website. It was 5 days hiking, 4 nights camping. And the views were amazing. And you walk at your pace, you're with a group, but everyone's at their pace. So there may be a lot of times where you're just by yourself on the trail. And there was a lot of conversations that I was having with myself. Like, for example, how in the world did they keep bringing up these boulders and making this trail? This is insane. The nature, the views, the trek, you're going up, you're going down, you're going on steps that are different heights. And by the second day, my legs were like, if you don't use your sticks, we're going to have a major attitude the rest of the trip. And I'm 5'3", so, there's times where you're trying to step down from a step that's like 18 inches, right? Or,
yeah.
And there might be, the next one might be 6 inches, in height, or vice versa going up. But the ruins, the views, there are people that will do like the one day, just, go up with a bus. But I thought I was in shape. I'd cycle, running, and being on there, the elevation is higher.
Mm-hmm. What is it? Is it over 10,000 feet?
You're starting at 9,000 feet elevation. And on day 2, we reached 14,000 elevation. It's called Dead Woman's Pass. And it was just all steps. Right. Dead Woman's Pass. Right. And it's all steps. And you're like kind of zigzagging to try and just kind of make it not so painful.
Oh my gosh.
And you have their porters and I had a porter, but they have the packs on their back and they're just zipping up there. And I'm like, oh, but of course they're used to it.
Yeah, we had porters. So I just went to South Africa in March. By the way, if speaking of this, I haven't done this in a while, but if anyone is interested on going on that trip that I did, I highly recommend going with Marie Livingston. I'll put the link in the notes because it was just amazing. Like I always felt he's such a great guy and I always felt super safe in his space. Like he's just amazing. So I highly recommend him. So we had these porters and one of the guys took a video of our porter going all the way up and we're like huffing and puffing, right? Like, you know, and they took off their packs and they're like doing push-ups at the top. Like, of course.
And like, it's amazing. Like their endurance.
Yeah. And they just bop around because they're used to the elevation.
Exactly.
They're used to that. They're physically in shape to do that. I'm so impressed with these people that do this. So impressed.
I am too. After that trip, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
And then I think it was the day before we were going to actually hit the Citadel? And they were talking about we're going to have to do the monkey wall. And I'm like, what is this monkey wall? And our guide, he kept laughing because he would just not want to tell me like directly what stuff was. I'm like, what's the monkey wall? He's like, he laughed and he's like, you'll see. I'm like, okay.
That stuff makes me nervous.
Then we're like, when we get close, what's this monkey wall? And he would laugh and he'd just shake his head. So it was a wall where it was almost like you are rock climbing up this steep incline and it had long, narrow steps. So when we got to it, I looked straight up and I'm like, that's why he was laughing, because he knew that I was going to just start cracking up. It was no room for error.
Right.
It's steep, and the steps were like probably 5 inches, and they were high. So you're like having to climb up the.
Angela.
It's like, are we serious?
I thought the chain ladders that I just did were like, whoa, but at least you could hold on to something. This is like,
whoa, your fingers are on these steps. Yes.
Yeah. This is like a free climb.
Yeah.
You didn't know you just signed up for that.
I was like, was this in that fine print that was like a 2 font or something?
No, this is the surprise adventure that they were like, ooh, and surprise adventures, you know?
Yeah, I was just cracking up. It was, and then someone, I think he took a picture of me up. So of course it's just my butt in the photo. Do
you have that? I want to, if you don't have that, I'll put a picture of the monkey wall up because I'll do a blog post for this. I'm going to put a picture of the monkey wall because we need to see that thing.
There it is. You see her butt right there.
Yeah. She's doing it.
That was crazy. So yeah, it's the monkey wall.
Wait, before you go on and tell us about the next thing, there's more. Y'all, there's more, but tell me, because I'm also a coach and I had to coach myself before going up this chain ladder. So actually when I got to it, I was I felt really mentally prepared. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. What were you telling yourself in that moment? Like when you see this thing, what was the behind the scenes in your mind going on?
If I screw up, at least my daughter knows that I was having a good time.
So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you tell yourself to go up the wall without freaking out? Were you freaking out?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
No. I was laughing. I kept laughing because I thought this was the funniest thing, because I'm like, the monkey wall. It was not, I didn't even envision it being that. And once we were doing it, all I had to do, I kept trying not to laugh so hard that I would cry. But I kept laughing. I'm like, I'm going up a monkey wall. So in the act of doing it, because he kept saying he wouldn't tell me what it was. Like, you'll see. So yeah, all I could do was laugh. It was just hilarious. I didn't have a moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. But it was just, this is the monkey wall. This is some
Yeah.
crazy stuff. Yeah.
So on this adventure, and I don't know if it was the monkey wall or not, you're trying to photograph a bird, as we do. We're
Costa
like,
Rica.
oh, you were in Costa Rica. Oh, this totally tracks. Okay, so that was different. Okay, wait, let's just finish up the monkey wall first. I love that. I love that you just did it. And I love that you left. Like, you literally left in the face of fear.
I did. It's like, this is
Can't
wow.
get me. And
Being on that trail and just seeing and being in spots where it's like, oh, if I slide, I'm sliding off this cliff. And they won't
yeah.
find me for a week.
I know. It's amazing that we do these things. I'm not telling everyone to go do it, but I also think it's really cool to push ourselves a little bit and see what we're capable of. I think that's really, but for me, it's been an interesting thing to do is go, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Like, I just didn't know I was capable of that. Like, what else? I'm not saying I'm like, you won't catch me skydiving or anything.
Yeah, no, I have no interest in
No,
that.
I'm not that. No, I'm not that. But there are times where we think that things that are actually fine, and if you can just push past the fear a little bit and take a deep breath and lean into it, I think we show ourselves that we can do so many things that we didn't know we could. And
Agreed.
I think that's a really beautiful part of like doing these adventures, right? Is just leaning into that part.
Yeah, not letting fear, get into your head. Just be in the moment.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time by myself in places, and I don't tell people until after the fact. And even, some posts, people are like, be careful. And I'm laughing because I'm like, I did that 2 years ago.
Done. Check. Just did something yesterday you'll be surprised about.
Yep. Which you may or may not see soon.
I know. Oh yeah. I feel like we're so similar. Same for me. It's so funny. Okay, can we talk about one of my absolute favorite places, which is Costa Rica? It's not necessarily my happy place, but it's my husband's happy place. So when we're there, we're just relaxing. And I think that's a beautiful space to photograph in because I just bring my camera along. And if I photograph, I photograph. If I don't, I don't. There's no like stress or like pressure to do it. Well, usually. So tell me about one of your adventures there.
About photographing that bird, huh?
That bird. What kind of bird was it? And where were you, by the way? Like,
it was a cuckoo. Rufous vented cuckoo, I believe that was the bird. And we were at the children's eternal rainforest area. We did a hike, and it was also a waterfall there, and we're looking for birds. Came back to the facility, and the groundskeepers had told Alberto, my friend and guide, that they saw the cuckoo. And we were getting ready to eat. Now we're hungry. So Alberto comes to me and he's like, grab your stuff. The cuckoo. They see the cuckoo. And I'm like, okay. We had to go into the woods.
who needs food?
Right. We had to go into the woods. We weren't on a trail, mind you. And
you had to go into like the woods.
The jungle.
In Costa Rica is the jungle.
Right.
Like you don't know what's
this
happening.
This was not a path.
Yeah. No.
This was like full-fledged just going to the jungle because the cuckoo was in there. The guys saw the cuckoo go in there. And he goes in, and for maybe 30 seconds, I'm like, I inhale, exhale, and I'm like, oh, we're just going to go right in. And it's dark in there. So
it is.
Within that 30 seconds, it's like, you're not going to be able to see anything as far as like snakes and, whatever.
Stuff, other things.
Right. You can't. So the other part of me said, get your big girl panties on and get in there.
Put your longest lens on. Let's go.
Right. So I had that on and it was like this is like a Nat Geo moment. So we go in, I go in behind him and we're signaling like, be quiet. And he's pointing, we're doing like our military type, signals like over there, low. And I'm standing next to him. For some unknown reason, I look down and I'm like, oh, now I had my hiking boots on. I had, the thick socks. I had on leggings and he had on pants and he had his hiking boots. So, which something would crawl up his leg. They couldn't crawl up my leg. They could crawl on my leg. I looked down and it had to be 1,000,000 ants that we were standing on. So I'm like, oh. So then here comes the cuckoo. And I'm like, there's 1,000,000 ants. And I look down and they're starting to crawl up my leg.
You guys should see my face right now.
And I'm like, this is some Nat Geo stuff right here. So I'm trying to I'm going into that yoga mindset. Go ahead, stand on one leg, brace your core, and try and shake the other leg so that the ants come off, but hold your lens, your 150 to 600 millimeter, 6
Protect
pound
that lens.
Steady. No, hold it steady because you're also trying to take a photo while you have ants crawling up the leg that's still on the ground. And he's like, stop moving. He's like, you're going to be okay. And I'm like, I know I'm going to be okay. They're on my clothes. Dude, you got pants on. And it was so funny. We got some images. I haven't even posted the bird. But we ended up going out. Ants all on my legs. And I'm like, I don't know what these ants had, but I had to take a brush and brush them off. Because I don't know. I'm like, did you guys have like hooks? Because they would not come off. Then we went back in there. It was like,
oh, you did? Oh my gosh.
It was enough that I'm like, oh, I did it once. I went back in there and dealt with ants some more. Fortunately, they didn't make it up past my hips. But yeah, so it's just those moments where you just go with the flow. There was 1,000,000 Costa Rican ants that weren't your regular American lure ants. No.
Those things are not tiny. They're not tiny.
These ants they weren't big like a black ant.
Uh-huh.
They were a little bit bigger than like the little fire ants you see.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe a little smaller than the fire ants. Cause in San Diego, like in Torrey Pines, they had like these red ants.
Yeah. We have
so
fire
they were
ants
a little smaller.
too.
Yeah, they were it was just like a whole bed of just ants all over this ground. Yeah, no, not for the faint at heart. And you wouldn't want to faint if you would have been there anyway.
No, no, thank you. I'm
Brie,
trying to think
you would have went in and like, Brie, get in here.
I don't know if I would have gone back the second time. Well, I don't know.
I don't know. You would like, I survived the first. Come on back in here. You got to get that picture.
Okay. So if I had you in front of me going, come on, Brie, I would have been like, all right, I can do that. YOLO. Everyone needs an Angela to be like, it's just some ants. Get back in here.
Think about it. How did we get in here?
Right. So solo is beautiful because you get to do a lot of like personal, like introspection. You don't have someone behind you going, hey, do this. Come on. Let's like the encouraging. You get to do that and I said, get to, not have to. You get to do that for yourself because there's a lot of growth in that. I think that's a really beautiful thing to figuring things out like on your own, but also being with other people and having the support of doing things together, like your friends going, hey, you can get across this log. Let us help you. I think that is also, I want to say that's also a really beautiful thing and it serves a different purpose. And we need both. I think we absolutely need both.
Yeah, it does help a lot when you you have a lot of solo moments, and you're just like, just okay, whatever. There's a snake over there. I'm tired.
But you also get to appreciate, or tarantulas, but you also get to appreciate the really beautiful things, because for every time that there's a snake or a something, there's also something really amazing that you just get to have this personal awe moment of
Exactly.
having
Yeah.
that for you.
Exactly. Seeing the tarantulas or snakes or being on the bed of ants, it's just like, wow, this is crazy. It's just cool. And, it also goes to say, being a woman does not limit you. I tell people, get out of your own head. Just do that. Get out of your own head and stop believing everything that you see on TV. TV is entertainment. They're paid to, create certain scenarios and get in your head. Get it out of your head. Get out there. Yeah.
Do what you think you want to do. Just go do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love this, like, make it happen for yourself. See something you want to do, just go make it happen. Go figure it out.
Right.
It's so awesome. Right. Amen to all of that. So good. I think this is a beautiful place to end. Angela, I just loved this. So just in closing, is there anything that we would like to share with our audience or invite people into your space for any reason?
For any reason. I don't know.
For any reason.
Like,
Yeah, I know.
This one is out here with ants and tarantulas.
Uh-huh.
No, we don't want to be a part of that.
Maybe you do.
There's the Black Female Landscape and Nature Photographers group. There's Instagram. The Facebook page is private, so you'd have to answer a few questions and join. So for viewers that want to be around other women in a safe space and you're interested in, you don't have to have adventures extreme like mine.
Right.
There's different levels. You don't even have to be an avid hiker that's like, oh, yes, that's 10,000 feet elevation or more. I'm into it. No. But there are women, different levels that, allow for the ladies to pair up and, in various locations around the U.S. Also in London and a person that's in South Africa. You can check out my Instagram pages.
We'll post those links.
Yeah. But, if you're, just someone that wants to talk, and want to run some questions or like, hey, I heard you talk about Costa Rica or Peru, or national parks, what so have you, feel free to, reach out, connect. Other than that, I just want to say, get out of your own head, get out there. If your friends don't want to do it, it's okay. There are other people that do. And I'm sure with Brie's platform and all the other platforms that we have so many women photographers out here in this space, there will be somebody you can pair up with. That's it.
Thank you. In fact, I haven't done this before, but all my friends say I know everyone, and that is so not true. However, I also consider like my superpower is like creating connections. And so if you are kind of feeling alone and you want to be connected to other people or women, if you're a woman, you want to be connected to other women, maybe in your area, I might know somebody. In fact, chances are I do, or I can connect you with someone, or I know where you can connect with someone. So you can email me at wow@wildwomanphotography.com. So there you go. So yeah, I think that's a really beautiful thing to be able to do that and to know people who are going to help create connections, because I love doing that. I love it when people are like, oh, hey, do you know such and such, or do you know where I can find such and such? And if I don't know, I can connect you with someone. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. Like, this is what we want to do because our community is so spread out. Like, we want to connect. So
exactly.
Okay, Angela, we'll put all of your info, like all the info that you sent me in the episode description. And then if you guys want to connect with Angela, you can go on Instagram or wherever and do that. So thank you, Angela. This was really, really fun. So fun.
Yes, it was. Thank you for having me.
All right, y'all. Until next time, see ya. Come with me on my next adventure. Be a wild woman and join me on one of my small group photography escapes in places like the cypress swamps of East Texas or White Sands, New Mexico. Go to wildwomanphotography.com for all the details. While you're there, you can check out featured wild women, episode transcripts, and more. Oh, and I'd love for you to support this podcast and all these incredible wild women in photography by leaving a review or sharing with a friend. Thank you so much for listening.